Hi everyone. My name is Amber. I am going to be talking to you about some things that have been going on in my life over the last few years. This is my first video, so sorry if it's a little awkward. But I just wanted to talk to you about some things that's been happening to me over the last 7 years, I guess. The first thing that started happening to me was repetitive numbers. All of a sudden, about 7 years ago, I started seeing repetitive numbers. They were just popping up everywhere. Like, it was just really strange where all they were popping up at. Like, everywhere I turned around, there was repetitive numbers on receipts, on, car tags in front of me, pumping gas. One time it was like $15.15, and then the gallons was like 10 or something like that. It was just repetitive, and then right underneath it was repetitive. And I actually started taking pictures of stuff, and I have multiple pictures. I would have to find, but I know I could probably find them, of where that it was just so unbelievable to me, that I just couldn't even believe it, and I just was taking pictures just to prove to myself that it was real. And it was really happening as often as I thought it was happening. Like, it was just, and I never had experienced that ever before. And it was just started coming, just repetitive. And it was like 333, 444, 1515, 3030, just crazy stuff. And then it turned into like 1221, like mirrored numbers. It was like repetitive numbers, and then it was mirrored numbers, and it was just so strange. And I kept praying. I started researching numerology, because I felt like that God was trying to give me a sign of something or make me aware of something. And I had never studied numbers or anything like that before, but I just never felt like I got an answer about what these numbers meant. And I am a Christian. I'm saved. And I just felt, something was really going on with these numbers. And I just kept praying, and I kept praying for God to give me knowledge about what these numbers meant. Okay, well, that went on for years, these repetitive numbers. Well, then about 2 years ago, I had a dream. And in my dream, I was in Johnson City, Tennessee, and that's the next town over. And I don't ever go to Johnson City. Like, there's nothing in Johnson City for me except for my kid's dentist. And, that's once a year or twice a year. And I was with my grandparents, and we were in a truck, and there was, all of a sudden, we was going down this little back road, area, and all of a sudden, just Army helicopters were swarming everywhere, like an unbelievable amount of helicopters. It was crazy. And then there started being Army trucks and tankers, and then chaos, just everything just started turning into all this chaos. And then these asteroids started coming from the sky and hitting, and they started hitting, and it was chaos, and we were just trying to get out of the chaos. But in my dream, I knew that we were going to be okay, and I was at peace with it. I didn't have any kind of fear or anything. We were just trying to get out of the situation, because it was crazy. People were running, cars were like, just trying to get away as fast as they can. It was just chaos. And I just knew in my dream that me and my grandparents were going to be okay and we were going to be safe. And I didn't have any fear of that, but I was just like, what is going on? But I knew it was the rapture, but that's just not how I pictured the rapture. Okay, well, about 6 to 8 months later, I had another dream. And in this dream, I dreamed that I was in Johnson City again. And like I said, I have no idea why I was in Johnson City. But this time I was at the ETSU campus. And it was dark outside. And there was people all around, just people hanging out. And all of a sudden, something just felt strange in my dream. And I looked up to the sky, and it was, real dark out, but there was like these balls of fire that was just coming just towards the earth. And it was asteroids again, and they were coming, towards the earth. And then they just started hitting, just hitting the ground right beside of me, just hitting everywhere. And I went into this stairwell, but the stairwell didn't really lead to anywhere. It was just stairs inside of this glass encasing. And all the windows were glass, it was just windows, just glass. It was all glass. So all four sides were glass, and then there were stairs in the middle. And that's where I went. And I was just watching everybody just run around, in panic and chaos, running from buildings, and just these asteroids just coming down and hitting. And I have 2 little girls, and at that time, this was about 2 years ago, so they were about 7 and 9 years old. And in my dream, I was not with them. They were staying on out with family. And I remember I wanted to be with my girls, but at the same time, I knew that they were okay, and I knew that I was going to be okay. And I was not fearful of anything. I just wasn't fearful. I knew I was safe. And in the midst of all this chaos, again, there was peace with me and peace with my family, because my whole family has been very, very blessed. There's not one person in my family that is not saved and is not a Christian. And my girls are saved. This is just how we grew up. We grew up Christians, thank the Lord, for that. And I've never had to experience my life without the Lord and not knowing the Lord. And, a lot of people don't experience that. And, but, we're just blessed in my family. And I just knew in my dream that my family was going to be okay, and that we were all going to be okay. And, so then I woke up from that dream, and I never understood these asteroids coming down from the sky, even though I knew it was the rapture in both dreams. It was like I was left behind in the rapture, like I was witnessing what was after the rapture or something, but I knew I was safe and I was okay, and I wasn't fearful whatsoever, and I had peace about it. But it was like I got to see what was after the rapture or something, just the chaos. But I never understood the asteroids that came down. I never did understand that, because I'm 35 years old, and, I was raised in church. I don't go to church as much as I should, and I don't even remember the last time I went to church, honestly, but growing up, I always went to church, and I've always been in a very religious family, and we always talk about the Bible and about God. And so everything that I've been taught, I've been taught throughout the years by preachers, and I've been taught throughout the years with my family, and we kind of have church within ourselves, because we talk about the Lord a lot in my family. But I never took the time to actually research and read the Bible for myself. And recently, that's something that I have been doing. And it has really opened up my mind to things that I had no idea about, because I just have been listening to what everybody else was saying. And I mean, you don't know anything until you get in that Bible yourself and you start really, researching the Bible. And I found out that during the tribulation in the Bible, it says that the asteroids are going to hit the earth. So that was really confirmation for me about my dream, and the asteroids coming down, because I had no idea that happened. I had no idea. So that was really awesome. And that, really confirmed those dreams. They were so vivid. Those two dreams were so vivid. And so it was really interesting to learn that, and for me to be able to understand my dream better. Okay, so that was the 2 rapture dreams that I had. Well, I still had these numbers, and they were just popping up everywhere, just crazy numbers. Well, one night I was asleep, and I hadn't been thinking, about the numbers that day or, whatever. I just didn't have it on my mind. And, I had been praying for God to give me understanding of the numbers. But that wasn't something I did every day. It was just something that was periodically. I would be like, Lord, please help me understand this. I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. Well, I was asleep, and I was in a dead sleep. And all of a sudden, it was so crazy, because all of a sudden I just woke up. Just like that. And I didn't even have time to think. I didn't have time for anything. It was like I was asleep. I woke up like that. And as soon as I woke up, sit up straight. Okay, I was a dead sleep, sit up straight. And I just said Rapture 2020. And that was it. That's all. It was crazy. It was just like that I was given an instant knowledge of something that came out of my mouth as soon as I had knowledge of it. I've never experienced anything like that before. It was really strange. And it was, I had no time to reflect on it, nothing. It was just like an instantaneous thing that happened to me. Well, I'm a sinner, everybody's a sinner, and I have a boyfriend that I had been living with at that time, and we had been together for probably 6 years, and he witnessed me doing that, and I just looked at him, and I was like, I have no idea, and he was just like blown away, because he was actually awake and sitting right beside of me, and I was asleep. And so it was just so wild to experience that, to just sit up like that and say Rapture 2020. And I remember I looked at him and I said, that's when the rapture is going to be, is in 2020. And it was just mind blowing, which I don't know, that's just what happened to me. And I guess we'll see if that came from God or if that was just something strange that happened to me. So anyways, that was with the numbers. And after that happened, the numbers just kind of disappeared until recently. And over the last week, I've been seeing repetitive numbers again. And I don't know why, but it started happening again. Well, I have been, researching the Bible a lot and really trying to understand the end times and Revelation and what's going to happen with the rapture and the tribulation and Armageddon. And I just really want to understand it. I've just had this really strong urge to start researching this stuff within the last year. I guess I've really been starting to research it. And it started with angels, honestly. It started with me. Just all of a sudden, I got this, because I've had some things that has happened to me in my life, and my grandparents too, and I can, talk about that in another video. But God really works through you, people. Like, He really will work through you. And this is wild what happened to me, but this is what really got me started on my journey of studying the Bible for myself. And it started with angels. And I just started like really wondering about angels and about what happens to you whenever you die. And so I started researching that. And I probably spent a good month, really researching angels and what happens to you whenever you die and all of that. And I had this really good friend in high school, and her name was Casey. And we had lost touch throughout the years, but we would see each other, occasionally at the grocery store or whatever. And, she was just one of those friends that I just loved. I just loved her. And, time we just grew up and we went separate ways. But, I could always talk to her whenever I sent her out. And I always loved her. And I'm sorry if you hear my dog. He's the most annoying dog on the earth. And I had to put him outside for a while because he was driving me nuts. But he demand barks to come back inside. So anyways, God works in such mysterious ways, because I was really researching, all of that stuff. And then I didn't have Casey on my mind at all. Didn't know anything about what was going on with her. But I have a cousin who messaged me on Facebook and asked me if I was friends with her. And I told her, yeah, that I was friends with her. And she said, well, I had seen that you were friends with her on Facebook, and I didn't know if you were friends with her enough to talk to her or whatever. And I was like, yeah. And she said, well, one of my other cousins, which my dad and mom were 15 whenever I was born. So, they had I wasn't close to my dad's side of the family growing up. I mean, my mom's side of the family raised me from birth. But I've always known that side of my family. We just wasn't close. Well, one of my other cousins actually was dating my friend Casey, and I didn't even know. And my cousin Kirsten was being nosy and was looking up my friend Casey and had seen that I was friends, that I was a mutual friend, or I was a friend of Casey. And so she just messaged me, not knowing that I was actually really good friends with Casey through high school and middle school, and that I loved her, and I actually knew her brother and her part of her family. And my cousin said, well, I was just being nosy, and I was wanting to see when the last time that Casey had posted on Facebook. And I was like, okay. So, I went and looked, and I told her, and I was like, what's this about? And she said, well, that Casey was on hospice, and that she had liver failure. And she's my age, 30. This was last year, so she was probably 33 years old. And I was like, Casey's on hospice? And she was like, yeah, Casey, has liver failure, and she's on hospice. And she was dating our other cousin, but whenever she got into that condition, Casey's family was like, you got to go, dude. Like, you're no good for her, or whatever. We're dealing with our daughter and our granddaughter dying and her kids and everything, and you don't need to be around. And so I was just like blown back, because I had no idea that Casey was in that kind of situation. So I actually got a hold of Casey's brother, and he gave me the information to get a hold of Casey, and I called her and I talked to her, and this was probably about 2 weeks before she passed away, and I talked to her and I was asking her, if she knew about the Lord and if she was saved, and she said she was, and she said that she was scared, though, about dying and about being judged for her sins. And it was so crazy because everything that I was learning at that time, okay, this want for knowledge that I was given about dying and about what happens when you die and about what happens when you get to heaven and the angels, and all of that. What she was afraid of, her fears in dying, was the knowledge that God had given me in order to be able to talk to her about it. I mean, everything. It was so crazy. Me and her had such a good conversation about what happens when you die, and just the fears that she had. I was able to give her the peace that she needed with those fears. And it was just amazing how that God got me to Casey, and to be able to talk to her, and for me to be able to give her that knowledge that I had from the months, from about 2 months, 6 weeks, something like that, before I found out about Casey. This overpowering want to know all this information that I just needed to know, and I just started researching it, and it was exactly what was needed to give to Casey. God gave me that to give to Casey, and I never did get to talk to Casey again after that. But I told her I loved her, and not to be afraid, and everything. And it was just amazing how that God had used me for Casey, of all people. And whenever I went to her funeral, her grandmother had been looking for me, and she didn't know if I was going to come to her funeral or not. She didn't know me, her grandmother didn't know me. And whenever I got there and I introduced myself to her, she just lit up, and she just hugged me, and she just thanked me so much for that conversation that I had with Casey. And that brought something to Casey that nobody else was able to give her but God, and he used me as that vessel to give it to her. And that was really amazing for me. And I hope, and I know that Casey's in heaven, and she went to heaven without that fear. So, but it was just like, after that, I didn't have the urge to look up any more about that. It was over. And that's what that was. That urge inside of me was for Casey. And so after that, I just started wanting to research the Bible more and find out more information, for me. And so I started really researching Revelations and learning more about Revelations. And I have been really seeing stuff about a lot of people talking about the rapture was going to happen at the in September, which is this month, okay, of 2020. And there's all the signs. They're all there. I mean, they're just signs everywhere. Like, it's all lined up perfectly. And so about 5 nights ago, I went to sleep. And before I went to sleep, I told God, I said, I asked God, I said, God, if the rapture is going to happen this month, will you give me a sign in my dream? And I didn't really think nothing else about it. And I just, went to sleep. Well, this is my dream. And it's really strange. And you take it for what it is, because that's all I can do. But I dreamed that me and my family was together, and we were going to look at a building that my grandfather had purchased. And the purpose of this building was to give, or not to give, sorry, but the purpose of this building was to make it into a party rental location where you can go and have parties, birthday parties, whatever. You can rent it out for the night, and a event venue, basically. My grandfather had bought this building, and my family was going to go and check it out, and we didn't know anything about it except for he had got it. And in my dream, the weather was really, really strange. It was just weird. It was like there was nothing pretty, no sunlight. It was like really, really overcasted, gray, just didn't feel good. And we get to this building, and it's a church. And we're like, okay, Papa bought a church for this. And we go in, and it's just like a church, it wasn't emptied out. It wasn't, the pews were there. Everything was there. Just like a church that somebody had just walked out. The church had just left. The church people had just left it there. And so we're looking around, and we're all just kind of like, okay, here's this church, and this is strange that we're going to make this church into a event place. And we're just looking around. And then whenever we was getting ready to leave, these lights started coming through the windows, and they had tall, skinny lights, or tall, skinny windows on each side of the church. And in the windows, this light started shining through, and the light, it was casting shadows of these alien creatures that were outside of the windows. And it was pretty scary. And I was just thinking, this is really strange. And they kind of look like a squid or something. I don't know. They had a bunch of appendages coming out of them. Like, I don't know how to explain. There it is behind my head right there. It was kind of like that. It was really creepy and eerie and just a bunch of things. But you knew it was out of this world. Like, it was not earthly. And it was bad. Well, then I woke up. And I just thought, oh, that was a weird dream. And I really didn't think nothing about it. Well, I was up for probably about an hour, and I was like, oh, yeah, I asked God to give me a sign if the rapture was going to happen this month. And I was like, well, I had that really weird dream, but it wasn't nothing about the rapture, I don't think. It was just strange. But then, all of a sudden, later on in the day, I was like, oh my gosh, in that dream, the church people, the church was gone. The church was gone. And it was just this hollow shell, the church, kind of like the body, is hollow after your spirit's gone. It was like that. It was like just the church was gone, and just the shell stayed. And you could buy the shell of a church to turn into whatever you wanted to turn it into. So that just really stuck with me, and I just thought that was really weird. But I just wanted to tell you all about that, because who knows? I mean, it's not something I would think I would dream of, as far as a sign, but then it made sense whenever I really started thinking about it. So anyways, I just have had this feeling for the last year that the rapture is really, really, really soon. And I really think that we really need to start focusing more on bringing people to Jesus and not so much on what is going on with the chaos and the craziness that's already started in America. I really think that we really start needing to talk about the Lord more and about Jesus more and really start trying to get people saved, because, you know, there's going to be so many people left behind. So many people. And I know one family that is dear to my heart, and I just don't see any hope for the husband. But I could be wrong, but I just don't really see any hope for him, and they've got children. And today the daughter was asking me questions about God and the Bible and stuff, and I get scared because it's my daughter's best friend, and I get scared that her parents are going to be upset that I'm talking, about the Bible. So I have to really word things because I don't want my daughter to lose her best friend. But I really want her to know the Lord. And she's almost 12. So, and she has a little brother too. So I really want her to get saved and to know Jesus. And so I have to be really careful what I say, but I want to say the right things to her to pique her interest. And so I really think that we really need to start talking to people about Jesus and stop focusing so much on the Black Lives Matter and the election and the Antifa and all that stuff. I really think that we need to stop focusing so much on that and stop being distracted by that and just come back to Jesus and what it's all about, which is winning over souls to Jesus and to God, and start posting more about that. It just seems like I've been posting stuff online and on my Facebook page, because that's all I do is Facebook, and it just, nobody seems like they have any interest in any of it. Very few. So, and that's sad, because people right now really need to be looking into this, because it's there. The signs are all there. They're all there. So I just wanted to give you all what's been going on in my life personally. And if y'all have had any similar dreams or anything like that, please let me know. But it's coming, guys, and we really need to be praying for the people who are not saved. And we really need to be, telling people how to get to heaven after the rapture happens and the tribulation, by denying the mark of the beast and, being beheaded. Basically, it's horrible, but it's the only way to get to heaven after the tribulation, or after the rapture, is just denying the mark of the beast and dying a horrible death. But I'd rather die a horrible death than live the rest of my life in hell, because for eternity. So just some things to think about, and just give me some feedback if y'all have had some dreams or anything weird that's happened to you all. So thank you. Bye-bye.